Turns out, the more you play, the more you find a game interesting. And so I just opened the site and saw this game was happening. Open game, interesting rules. Level 5 open, all rules in effect. And thought, good players, let's take a look. Um, Now, Akiyama's 5 move really set up 7-5-4-6 well, and 5-7-4-6. Um, Now, notably, Midas has captures as well, right? And he has things like safety, like he has 2-7-4-7 in 2, and then he can attack anything Akiyama puts in 4. Can he attack it well? Not so clear. Anyway, thought I'd open this game and we'll see what happens. This is a game Midas is playing. I'm guessing as practice. He does play in 2. Um, as practice at playing open before this weekend. He's going to be playing DJ, I think, in the semifinals of Ultimecia, and presumably wanted a warm up against a strong opponent. So this will be a kind of interesting look at Midas's form. If I bring up the Ultimecia bracket for me, I will not be bringing it up for you. He's had a really impressive run. He obviously beat Delial in the last round, and that's a just humongous win. But he also beat Sir Smokes in the first round, who has been a rival and difficult matchup. They've played multiple times. Smokes won when they met in the finals. Midas won when they met in the semifinals. I think the record is 2-2 overall. All right. Akiyama, per usual, going creative. But I don't love this. I don't see the point. Because Akiyama doesn't have 3. He still has no threat in 3. So if Midas goes... Now I realize Midas is dead in those squares as well, but say Midas goes 7-5-6-4 in 4. He flips everything. But he's not susceptible to combos back, right? If Akiyama goes in 3, Midas could play... He's going to be up 7-3 at that point. He could play something like 5-5-6-5 and 7, and Akiyama's only double capture is... Oh, I guess that does hold. Okay. Huh. Midas goes for max setups. I would have spent more time checking 4. I guess there's only 3 minutes on the clock, so maybe I was thinking too slowly. You're up 7-3, though. I guess that 8 combos through 6 might hold there. Looks tricky. On the other hand, this is pretty reasonable. If Akiyama goes 3, Midas will go 7, presumably, with 7-5-6-3 comboing everything for the end. So Akiyama must block one of 4 or 8, right? If either 3 or 7 is taken, Midas plays in the other, and he wins because he has too much combo power through 5. So Akiyama's only chance to hold is 4 or 8. And specifically, he needs a good rejoinder to Midas going in the other. So we can see he went 8, Midas went 4, and Midas wins. Right? Could you have gone 4? Probably not. I mean, 7-5-6-3 is the same in both squares. Maybe, though. Because you grab 1, right? If you go 3, you grab 1. And if Midas goes 8, you go 7, and you've locked in 1, 4, 7, and 8 because you flip 8. And that's 4 cards, and you have a card in hand. So could you tie by going an 8 there? Am I making things up? Oh, was this a tie? Oh, because you combo through 8 to 9. Alright, so this tied too. My bad. Alright. Made sense, though. Either way, you have to block 4 or 8. I'm skeptical of this move at 9. I really want to bring up the solver in this. This seems like there must have been a win, right? My guess is 4, though I didn't actually make it work, I will admit. But if this wasn't a win, I would be somewhat surprised. So the game was 5-6-7-2, 2-7-4-7. What else did he have? 5-5-6-5, 7-5-6-3, and 5-5-7 and 6-2-7-6. The first turn hand. The second turn hand was 4-4-7-5. 7-4-7-3 for that creative move in 6. 5-7-4-6, 5-5-7-4, 7-5-4-6. Right? Just flip it open on the side. We'll see if there's another game happening, but there is. All right, so we should switch over to that. But I will be doing a quick check of the last game because I am very curious. All right, so starter in 1, response in 5, goes 2. This is basically where we joined in. 10 moves tie, 14 moves lose. 7-4-7-3 and 6 is a tying move. All right, I was wrong. Good for Akiyama. And Akiyama's move in 8 was the only tie. My move in 4 did not work. It lost to 1. When 7-5-6-3 sweeps you because you're 4 facing down means you're 6 to the left. Okay. That's not visible to you. I'll flip you over for a moment. The problem with my move is after this, you don't have here because you get comboed. So Akiyama did find the only way, and this was a creative hold. My idea was to go here because, you know, simple, straightforward moves. There is also only one tie here. And that's not trivial to find at all. It's not the move I was considering. So, but he probably would have gone there. All right. Let's flip back to the game. And we have 5-5-7-3 in 7. Okay, he has a number of recaptures, and often with a weak number facing towards the right, or towards the far wall, which is useful to have. Like 1, 6, 6, 7, and 4 is never comboed from 1, right? And 7, 2, 5, 6, and 8 is never comboed from 9. So it's useful to, like, for instance, if your only capture in 8 was 1, 6, 6, 7, then 7, 2, 5, 6 in Akiyama's hand covers that, right? So Akiyama could go in 4, force you to go in 8, and then combo you. But it's pretty easy to see Midas can take in ways with low numbers facing out that make it very hard to set up combos. Akiyama has such a feel for 5 moves. Now, this is, I think, very much the Akiyama kind of corner, because he really doesn't have play in 4. Right? 6-5-6-4 is comboed by 2-7-6-5. That's really uncomfortable. 5-6-6-5. Now, you have some combos back, but it is comboed by 1-6-6-7 in 1, and those lines, maybe they're fine, but they can be really scary. Also note, for instance, if you have some line like Akiyama plays 4 with 5-6-6-5, Midas combos in 1, Akiyama combos in 2, 7-2-5-6 might land at 6 for Midas. He has last turn. That can combo through. So my point is just like Akiyama does not have good play in 4. But he has good play in 8. Right? He has a perfect same for 8. And I think the usual way he does this is his opponent does not have good play in 8. He has a good square, and his opponent does not have that square. Now here, Midas does have that square. But not with 1-6-6-7. Kind of with 4-5-4-7. Because your only capture is comboed. But that's risky because it flips 5, and 4-5-4-7 is weak to 5. And 2-7-6-5 gives up a useful card. So my instinct would be, as Midas, and similar to what he did last game, block 8, it's a bad square for you, it's a good square for your opponent, and 4 is not a good square for your opponent, so force them to have to play there. But how good is it? I don't know. So my instinct is 2-7-6-5 or 4-5-4-7 and 8, but I'm not sold on either. He does go in 8. All right. So Midas is playing a very much kind of meet the center reply by forcing action, which is, something I tend to do. It tends to be good if you like calculating and don't like risk. So 7, 2, 5, 6, and 9 might force a reply in 6, which forces 5 to flip. There's no way to meet 9 without flipping 5. And if you could set up combo play on 5, that would be really interesting there. For instance, maybe the idea, because Akiyama plays derangedly, strongly but derangedly, 7, 2, 5, 6, and 9. Say 7, 2, 5, 6, and 6. 5, 6, 6, 5, and 1. Sets up 6, 5, 6, 4. He's done it. To have both 2 and 4. I think the plan is to meet 6 with 1. He's walking into combos, but they flip 5. And the thing is, if Midas doesn't flip 5, Akiyama has time to block 6. Now, are his blocks in 6 actually very good? Like, Midas playing 7, 2, 5, 6, and 4 is by no means out of the question, right? You keep your threat in 6, and by blocking 4, you make it so they're almost certainly not going to have combos back. And if they block 4, anything they put in 4 is pretty vulnerable to your cards, except 7, 5, 1, 6. But your 1, 6, 6, 7 and your 2, 7, 6, 5 are very good sweepers in that endgame. You probably don't win, but you do definitely tie. Yeah, I think you just tie, though. Alright, so to look for the win, you probably do have to play 6. Your sweepers are better side to side than up down, so I don't think you want to tee. But 7, 2, 5, 6, 6, you have to check 5, 6, 6, 5, and 1, making those paired squares. It's interesting. Yeah, I'd probably just go 4. I don't think 6 works. There is 1, 6, 6, 7, and 6. You don't have to play 7, 2, 5, 6. Does that make any difference? I don't think so. Yeah, I think you should just go 4. Man, Akiyama's such a tricky player. Alright, he goes 2. I didn't... This move doesn't inspire me, but you can see how he controls some space. Just checking some things. Because Akiyama does not have combo play against 2, you do now threaten to go in 6. You do now threaten to go in 6. And if Akiyama blocks 6, you take it with sweepers left. That's the idea. So I think 6, 5, 6, 4, and 6 should hold the tie. If Midas goes on the left, you go in 3. He doesn't take any of your cards. It's a tie. So Midas must capture to win. He does, and Akiyama can then go 4, as has happened, and 7, 2, 5, 6 doesn't have a capture. You couldn't let 7, 2, 5, 6 be the capture on the right, because 2, 7, 6, 5 swept the left. You needed to make Midas use 7, 2, 5, 6 on the left, so you had to play a card that was only weak to 2, 7, 6, 5 on the right, so that the card on the left would be better, which is why Akiyama played 6, 5, 6, 4, and it's why I was drawn to it as well. Curious, complicated games. Interesting stuff. Again, I feel like there should have been something here this game, but I certainly didn't see it. And last game turned out they were just clean. It was just solver correct. Let's see if they're playing another game. Last time I thought there was a higher chance than I think this time that there was a winning position move for someone. So let's pause. Let's move on to the next game. Got a corner. Okay. Midas's captures are not comboed. Akiyama has no recapture in 6. And he only has 1 recapture in 2. Alright, so if you're Midas here, and you capture from 2, what's the point? So if you capture with 5, 6, 4, 7, and 2, maybe 6, 5, 3, 7 in 4 kills you. Not sure that's probably the best way to do it. Yeah. Okay. Huh. I was assuming at 5, 6, 4, 7 there was the setup in 2. But he just goes 5. He just says you don't have a recapture in 2 yourself, and I do not need anything else. That's all I was looking for, was to snag your card in 2. Now this looks awful though, right? But we can't underestimate Akiyama. He, makes miracles. 6, 5, 6, 4, and 6 is just safe. Now, maybe Akiyama will create some magic out of the fact that if you ever flip 5, he'll land 6, 5, 3, 7, and 8, and you'll suddenly lose out of nowhere. But, 6, 5, 6, 4, and 6 is safe. That's worth a lot, right? It's worth a lot. Akiyama can go 9 safely there. But then you have, safety in 8, and, you can't be worried there, right? I don't think you can be worried there. If you have a big setup in 9 or 7, that could be really powerful. But I would start to get worried that the combos aren't going to come right for you. 6, 5, 3, 7 has both 6 and 8 in a way that I think will not be able to equal. So I think you just get rid of 6 here. I was thinking, or where I was trying to get was that I thought 6, 7, 2, 6, and 2 made more sense, because I don't think you walk into a 4 setup there. But I guess Akiyama was just intending the same reply there. Strange. Alright, well, I would go 6. I'm expecting 6. So far, Midas and I have played, or Midas has been playing similar moves to what I do. They're not the same. So, no. He goes for the paired squares thesis. But are the paired squares better for you or for Akiyama? You have last turn. Midas is last turn. That's important. But 6, 7, 2, 6 is now good in 8, but dead in 6. So let's say Akiyama plays 6, 3, 6, 7 in 1. What do you do? You just block 6, of course, because 6, 5, 3, 7, and 8 does flip through 5 if 5 is flipped, but it doesn't flip 9. Okay, so I'm a little slow here, but we're getting there. Okay, obviously I have no clue what's going on. Alright, this is not a game that will make sense to me. Okay. Now, the important thing here, what he did was he covered 6, 7, 2, 6, and 8, right? He said, if you ever go 8, I combo back. So you take the square in 1. If you combo through 5, I now combo back in 1. If you take 1, I can go 6, and 6, 3, 7, 6 is actually a really good card for me in that endgame. On the other hand, what if Midas just plays 6, 7, 2, 6, and 6 now? No combos, just goes up 6, 4. You have no captures, and he's going to block. And if you play a 6, 3, 7, 6 in 1, he wins with 7, 3, 5, 5 in 7. I think 6, 7, 2, 6, and 6 should work here. Right, it's currently 5, 5. You'd go up 6, 4. Any move in 8, you win, because it doesn't flip anything. Any move in 7, you go 8 and you win. So 1 is the only threat. If they go in 1 and keep 6, 3, 7, 6, you can block 2 and they have no captures. If they go in 1 and keep 4, 6, 7, 5, that does cover anything you could put in. Sorry, if they go in 1 with 6, 3, 7, 6, you go in 8 and they have no captures in 7. If they keep 6, 3, 7, 6. If they keep 4, 6, 7, 5, you go in 7 with 7, 3, 5, 5, and 4, 6, 7, 5 is only 1 capture. So 6, 6, 2, 7, and 6 should be a win here. These guys play complicated games. Like, I don't understand. I mean, you can see the point, but like, I wouldn't have gone in 9 if I was Midas, and I don't think I'd have considered it. I certainly wouldn't have gone in 4 if I was Akiyama. I would not have done this starter. I would not have intended the follow up in 5. I would have intended a follow up in 4. Or just grab safety in 1. Sometimes you should just grab safety in 1. This whole game is moves, not just that I wouldn't have played, but that I basically wouldn't have considered. Alright, he goes in 6, but he doesn't flip 5. He doesn't flip 5. And that means Akiyama's now picked up the card to go in 1, which he will do shortly, because 6, 3, 6, 7 actually controls the endgame. You needed to flip 5. Or did you? Because it combos through 5. Even though you're comboed back, that doesn't combo through 5. Am I just really bad at counting? I might just be really bad at counting. Oh, this might work and I can't count. No, it doesn't work, because the combo in 7, if you play 6, 7, 2, 6, and 8, because the combo flipped 4, 7 flips 4, which flips 5, and you combo back. Okay, but I think 6, 7, 2, 6, and 6 should have been winning. I will check this one. This one seems worth checking to me. I think, obviously 3-minute games are 3-minute games, but I think this one, there's something to regret. So the first turn hand was 2, 7, 6, 5, 5, 5, 7, 4, 6, 5, 3, 7. Akiyama really testing what he can get away with. 4, 6, 7, and apparently the answer's, a lot. Not because Midas isn't very strong, but just he's strong enough he can get away with a whole lot. 5, 6, 4, 7, 6, 4, 5, 6, 6, 5, 6, 4, 7, 3, 5, 5, 6, 7, 2, 6. Alright. Gonna sneeze, excuse me. Sorry about that. Been sneezing a bunch lately. Guess it's sneezing season. Alright, solver doesn't want to load because we're recording, so everything runs slow. And we're on to game 4. I will be checking on the solver on the side. So this move in 3, met by 2. Oh, it's going to run so slow. Met by 5. Alright, it can calculate the move in 5. The move in 5, there was 1 tie against the move in 5. Wow. And it was 6, 5, 6, 4, and 6. Okay. There was 1 tie against 5? 5 is so much better than I thought. Okay. So Midas should have played in 6. After 6, 4, 5, 6, and 9, Akiyama is winning. Not a move I considered. Not clear if it's a move he considered. If you want to do some calculation practice, you could find this. I'm going to say the move, but also if you want to, even just calculating out how the moves works would be excellent calculation practice. So the winning move on move 5 for Akiyama was 6, 5, 3, 7, not in 4 as he played it, but in 7. Alright, he instead went in 4. Now, Midas is winning 2 different ways. 6, 7, 2, 6, which I said is winning, but also 7, 3, 5, 5, and 1 first works. Midas instead went 6, 5, 6, 4, and 6, conceding 1 tie. Midas correctly goes in 1, and they play out the tie. So missed wins in both directions this game. That game. Man, 3 minutes is chaotic. Okay, we got a new starter. Let's think about how is it attacked. 1676 attacks it, and there is no attack from the right. 212A is such a trash card. Odds Akiyama goes in 5 again, probably pretty high. Alright, from Midas' side, his recapture, his only recapture in 8 is 3765. Is there play against that? I don't think so. He goes immediately for it. So maybe there is play against it. And in fact, now that we look twice, we might notice... I don't know. If 3, 7, 5, 6, and 8, maybe the idea is trapdoor and 4. Sets up a very serious threat in 5, but if they just block 5, I'm not sure you've gotten anywhere. Are there setups in 2? That's always worth checking. You don't really want to play 3 here. You do have a card that's pretty good to put in 3, but it means you have no threat on 6 and 9. On the other hand, Akiyama doesn't have that much threat either, so 3, 7, 5, 6, and 3 is probably completely fine. Maybe it's even good. Does Akiyama have an L in 8 that's appealing? I don't think so. Okay, so I like the look of 3. 8 is very standard, but I think pretty good here. Right, he goes in 3 with 5, 6, 5, 5, and Akiyama plays so quickly. Oh, he does have a way to set up a threat in 5. I totally missed this. Yeah, don't go in 3 then. Go in 8 or something. Anyway, what's done is done. You probably have to block 5 here. 7, 3, 6, 4, and 7. I don't really believe in it. It's a shame you have a 5 to the left and 5 and 1 and 3 though, not a 6 to the left and 3. That's not ideal. Makes it harder to block 5 too. But say well, you don't really have a card you want to put in 5 either. That's a pain. Have anything good for 4? Just throwing out ideas. I don't think so. My evaluation of these games is switching every move. And apparently, based on the last one, that doesn't mean I'm wrong. Also, again, 3 minutes is very chaotic. I don't think, in general, the standard of play in 3 minutes is that much lower than 5, but I think these are also 2 very combative players. I don't like Midas' move in 3, though, here. I think if you were going to play 3, you probably have to do so with the safer card, even though it gives up a more useful card. Now I'm not sure what we need to do. You probably want to calculate 3, 7, 5, 6, and 5, which I have not done. But 7, 6, 4, 4, and 2, you're down 7, 3. You play 4, 5, 7, 3, and 1, 6, 4. 7, 3, 6, 4 does sweep up down the rest of the game. That should tie. Now, they might have better moves than going in 2, but it at least holds against 2. Do they have a big setup in 1? Sort of? Yeah, they maybe do. They maybe play 7, 6, 4, 4, and 1. Huh. Yeah, they probably can. Ooh, risky. Alright, so he goes 7, which, given that I don't think 5 works, I mean, it looks high cost, so you have to have figured out what's your reply to 6, 4, 4, 6, and 5, because you're down 6, 4, you need a big move there. I don't see it. Maybe I'm missing something. I often do. But my guess is 6, 4, 4, 6, and 5 should win here. I want to check game 2. I didn't check game 2. So game 1, I thought Akiyama must have been busted, and he wasn't. Game 1, I thought Akiyama must be busted, but he wasn't. Game 2, I thought he was under pressure, but should have. I thought he had managed to hold. Game 3, I thought he was lost. It turns out he was winning at one point, which I completely missed, but he was lost there, but manages to tie that one. And here in Game 4, I think he's going to get a win. And that's because I didn't notice that plussed. So he's going to manage other tie. All right, just putting in the cards for the second game, remembering the move order. Man, 7, 2, 5, 6, and 9 was a ballsy move. Which cards were yours? 6, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, 6, 5, 7, 6, 1, 5. So each player, through the 2 games we've checked, this game, Midas does just correctly calculate it to a tie. Really nice calculation. Really nice job holding that kind of position. Okay, Akiyama had 1 tie on move 4 in game 2. 7, 2, 5, 6, and 9 was losing. It was losing to 3. Jesus Christ, triple triad so hard. Okay, it was losing to 3. Midas doesn't find it, and Akiyama saves it. So Midas was winning in game 2. They were both winning in game 3. So I was talking about that one just there. All right, we'll be moving to game 5 in a moment. I'm going to input the cards for game 4 because, man, this has been chaos. We've had 4 ties. But in those 4 ties, how many games has no one been winning? So far of the games we've checked, 1. Which is, again, not to say it's badly played. It's to say this is very combative play, right? And very complicated positions. And also 3 minutes on the clock. And so this is not... I come not to critique, but to praise or whatever. Actually, for this game's calculation, I should make sure same wall is included in the rules. Because they do have same wall on. Alright. And that'll be on the side. So I'll be talking about the last game we just looked at, game 4. I have to go shortly, so I think this will be our final game together. So, surprising no one, Midas was in fact winning this last game. Specifically after the move in 6. If he recaptures an 8 with 3, 7, 5, 6, he is winning. He instead, well, I'll flip you over for a sec. So the winning move here was this. But I'll flip you back now. But I'm going to keep looking at this game. So Midas went in 3. Akiyama went in 8. Now Midas only has 3 ties. Plays 3, 7, 5, 6, and 7. That does tie. Nice. Good find. 3, 7, 5, 6, and 5 also tied. I got worried about 7, 6, 4, 4, and 1, but apparently you just block 6. Sorry, block 4. Okay. So, another game where someone was winning. So we've had, out of 4 games, Midas has been winning in 3, Akiyama has been winning in 1, we've had 4 ties, and all the games have been complicated as hell. Alright, Akiyama has a left weakness. I may as well input the cards now for us to check, because, again, these games are pure chaos. Some good possible puzzles out of these, because, again, pure chaos with a lot of narrow paths. So I'm going to put in the cards now and, see what comes of it. What ridiculous games. Man, following 2 and 3 minute games is fun. Good time for all. Alright, I'm going to just predict that Akiyama goes in 5. because why not? Seems like it's a prediction that does pretty well in general. Most people need it to set up both ways, but Akiyama does not, and he pulls it off. So, what's he picked up? He's picked up 6257. That could go in 7. Probably go in... Alright, can go in 8. Sure, why not? Why not? Let's just, is anyone lost yet? Someone's lost every game pretty quickly. Yep, this is lost. To 4 different moves. Will we get a decisive game, or can Akiyama get away with anything? Again, this is not because Midas is weak. Midas is very, very strong. But yeah, this is lost again. I didn't look at why it's lost. Instincts. There is safety in 7. There is not safety in 9, but there is safety in 7. So either 7554 or 7464 and 7 looks quite appealing. Hard to differentiate between them, but my instinct, actually not that hard, right? The instinct should be 7544. You keep 7464 for recaptures in 6. You can also go 2. 2 is very appealing. I would be unsurprised if there was a win in 2. Anything else? Maybe something like 6465 and 6, where you control 2, right? Where you set it up so you have combos against. I think you get comboed back there. All right. But my guesses for wins would be 2, 6, 7. I think 1's pretty unlikely. 9 seems pretty unlikely. 5 is very possible. Okay, I shouldn't throw out 5. 5 is a very possible win square. I don't really know what I'd put in 5, though. Alright, he goes 6. Was 6 one of the wins? And his move in 6 did control 2, right? It set up 6465. This was one of the wins. Are we going to get a decisive game? Akiyama blocks 5, plays very quickly per usual. Where were the other wins? Let's see. 7, yeah. 7554 and 7. 7554 and 6, that's what was played. 7464 and 6, very similar. And there was a win in 1. I did not expect that. What was the win in 1? 6671 in 1 was apparently winning. Neat. I guess you control the only captures in 2, so it's pretty safe, because 5, 3, 6, 7, and 2, you have the combo in 5. Which also sets you up pretty well in both 4 and 6. Yeah, that makes a bunch of sense. Okay. I think we're going to see a decisive result. I think Midas is going to snag a win here. Yeah. All right, we'll close the solver. So what did we watch here? We watched 5 games. 1 win for Midas, 4 ties, all really exciting. Akiyama playing at breakneck speed and playing varyingly deranged moves and mostly getting away with them. Reaching a winning position one of the game. Midas reached a winning position in 4 out of 5 games, and they were hard positions, managing to convert but 1. I don't know that I've converted anymore. I'd like to think I'd have converted 2. But these were, I think, not really convertible positions in 3 minutes unless you are really on your game. All right. Well, this was a fun time. I like catching these 3-minute matches. I think we just missed some moves because they play too quickly, but you can see it is 6-4 in Midas' move. This is over. Midas presumably met 5 with 9. Akiyama went 2. Midas captured that from 1, and Akiyama, having nothing else, played in 4 and 7-3. So Midas gets a win. Midas looking like he's playing well. I don't know if this is remotely good practice for... I mean, what do you think is good practice for a match, right? Is good practice A, playing against someone who plays like your opponent so you can practice positions you're likely to get. If that's good practice, this was not good practice. But if good practice is put yourself in a lot of stupidly complex positions and see if you can handle them, then this was really good practice, right? So, okay, we're going to end there. They're still going. I am tempted to stay on, but no, 5 games is enough. Yeah, we'll call it here. Fun, quick match. I was thinking recently it would be fun to like. Delial was gonna do something like this, so I'm stealing his idea. But just like throw out a challenge of like anyone want to play like 10 2 or 3 minute open games for a match or something and see what happens. Because yeah, I thought it would be fun. And maybe a nice way to get back into form and trying to think and calculate and evaluate quickly. So maybe I'll do that at some point. But clearly we just got that here with much more fun happening because my instinct in limited time is always going to be to reduce complications, make it manageable. And their instincts at almost every moment here is to increase complications and make it pure chaos. And like evidently in the first game I would not have saved Akiyama's position, or at least my commentary wouldn't have. These were very chaotic positions. So yeah, fun games. Sorry to be so solver reliant in this video. I do think it's better. Like when I watch chess commentary, I don't like it when they have the computer evaluation open because they just start saying the computer evaluation and they turn their brains off. Like their understandings of the position are weaker than the computer's solutions, so they just stop giving their thoughts. And also, one thing is a lot of people watching the games have access to computer evaluations, so when the commentators say something that's not computer correct, they get yelled at, so they have incentive not to do that. But if they can't say their opinions, they have no worth as commentators. They're just not interesting. I can find the computer evaluations for myself. It's right there on the website. That's easy. And so what's really nice is when you have like thoughtful, interesting people that don't have the computer open and are fine just being wrong sometimes. And occasionally they'll be like, I can't figure this out, or this is so tactically complex that like it would take a lot of work for me to figure it out, and we'll just bring on the computer in that. But for the most part, analysis and commentary gets a lot worse when you bring in the computer, and it's also more useful to do it yourself. Of course, if you have played the game, it is really nice to have the computer analysis afterwards, because you've already done the thinking and the investment, and you can then compare to actual, like, what was the correct evaluations? Where did I go wrong? Where can I improve? What did I miss? But for just commenting on things, I try not to use the solver till after, because I think that kind of takes away from what you're supposed to be doing and offering. And I think it makes it less interesting. But it was fun to check here, and these games, Solver agrees, they were just as chaotic as they looked.